starting out on this whole adventure. And hopefully, by being super awkward and broadcasting all of my trials, tribulations, and what I'm sure are going to be grand failures to the world, you'll be able to see that and say, hey, I probably shouldn't do the same thing or not make that mistake, the same mistake that he made. So I'm hoping that I can actually help you and in turn help myself too, sort of do this to keep myself accountable through the entire process. The first thing, for me at least, to get this story fleshed out, and this is coming from somebody who's started and restarted and stopped and started this story maybe a dozen times, never getting past about 1,500 words before I'm just crumbling it up, throwing it in the trash, and being like, screw everything. I just want to burn down a village and pillage things. I don't know. This work in progress. Sometimes I write and I think it's fantastic and I love the piece that I wrote. Sometimes I'm like, wow, this is hot trash and it's a dumpster fire and I just want to throw it out and bury it in the salt flats and throw holy water on it and never look at it again. That doesn't happen too often, but there are some parts that I just can't. Which is I want to write and complete the book, get it published. And whether that's self-published or traditional publishing, I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not even worrying about that because I'm still in the middle of writing a book. And at that point, sell one copy to one person that I don't know and that's never met me. And at that point, score. I'm a published author, and that's pretty awesome. That project and started this other one, and I think I mentioned it in a prior video, probably very briefly. I had this idea for an opening line, and I really liked this opening line, and then I wrote it and started writing some more, and I had absolutely no idea what I was writing about, what the subject was, what was going to happen, or anything, and it was exhilarating. And then I started kind of planning that out a little bit, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And then I started getting all these awesome ideas, and I'm like, wow, these are really cool too. I better start writing this stuff down. Before you know it, I'm working on a second book. Last week, I had a goal for myself, and the goal was to write 4,000 words inside of a week. And this was last Monday. Today is Wednesday. So when I started this out and I had this goal ready to go, my word count was at 21,003 words in my current work in progress. 21,003, yes. And I'm happy to report that today my word count is 21,003 words. I have literally written nothing. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just get right into it and read you the first chapter of my book, The Caretaker. I hope you enjoy it. With a little luck, I'll be dead in 23 minutes. This part is the most nerve-wracking. I was 12 miles from a deserted warehouse off a country road in the middle of nowhere, ready to meet some kid for the first time. His job is to deliver an unopened package to my hands. I spent the past 6 months tracking down the contents of that parcel. My contacts in the antiquities and connections throughout a network of black market artifact dealers led me here. I owed too many favors now, and I have an abundance of cash to replenish. But I was hoping my efforts paid off tonight. More recently, honestly, the catalyst was my brother passing away. And it made me realize that life is very, very short. And if you are not doing the things that really call to you, I didn't want to be sitting there 20 years from now thinking, man, I should have started writing 20 years ago. In 20 years, I'm going to be approaching 65 years old. And I'm like, you know what, I can do this now, and I can make the adjustments and change my life a little bit right now to do something that I really love to do. And damn it, that's what I'm going to do. So that was the catalyst. And my one regret, my last conversation with my brother that wasn't through text was a phone conversation where we were talking, and I was telling him about the story and what I was writing, and he was very excited. And he's like, I want to hear all about it, but I have to go real quick. I've got a business meeting. And then the next day, I was flying out to Las Vegas, and we exchanged a couple of texts. We never got to finish that conversation while I was away. He had passed. And so it's always something that's in the back of my head to to finish this off, and try to make him proud, proud of his little brother. Thank you for that question, Stephen. I appreciate it. It's 85,000 words, and it's done. Its first draft is done, at least. That might seem kind of silly. There's a lot of emotions going on with a project like this. Those 85,000 words aren't just a story. It's 85,000 words of creativity. It's 85,000 words of time in solitude, writing, deleting what I write, rewriting, editing. But more importantly, it's 85,000 words of and a lot of them were for coping. And so I tried to direct my creative energies in such a way to, when something tragic happens, oftentimes you look for distractions and you look to cope. And in this case, creativity was my coping in a lot of ways. And so it's kind of hard seeing the end. I mean, I'm happy. Obviously, it's a huge undertaking, and so much time. But at the same time, writing that and being at the end of it there is, in a weird way, like a closure I didn't quite expect. And so there's a strange feeling right now. More than anything, I want to call him and tell him about it, but I can't. This is a good thing. It is, but it's making it so I have to, it gives your mind this space in this open pasture to roam, and the things that you kind of put aside for a period of time come rushing back in. And some people, when they get upset, they clean the house. Some people, when they get upset, they do whatever chores, or they'll what have you. Or when they're sad, they cope in one way or another to try and ease the pain of what's going on. And sometimes, particularly as INFJs, we hit that spiral where we can't really think straight, and we just get dragged down. He'd be proud of me, but he'd also tell me to shut up right now. So there's that. It's weird seeing those two words. It's weird. So this book and this story started from a writing prompt, and I'm pretty sure it was it was November of 2018. And it was just a quick prompt to think of something, kind of cool. And the question was, what is the oldest object that you own? And my mind went nuts with this prompt, and I thought, what would be the oldest object in the universe? And then it just kind of launched from there. And I put it aside because I was working on a different project, the one many of you know about with Avery and that whole thing, which is more lighthearted and funnier. But this one hit at just the right time. The book I just wrote, that sounds weird. That sounds really weird. The book I just wrote has a lot of themes of death in it. It's central to everything. And I don't know if it was intended or if it was just like a subconscious kind of thing, but that's sort of what it went through. It has themes of death, themes of memories of loved ones, of finding your way and learning to appreciate the things that are around you in a present moment, but wrapped up in a supernatural story. And that's what this is. It's considered speculative fiction, supernatural speculative fiction. I'm only half sure of what's next. I need to do some editing, obviously. And so this isn't something that I'm ready to just print and hand to people. It's not there. But some editing needs to happen. I'll be doing that, and then I'll most likely be working with a professional editor to get it polished up and get it ready. And something that's a project like this that's so important to me, I want to make sure it's packaged right, and I want to make sure it's done right. And it's very important to me that I hold a physical copy in my hands, and hopefully get some support on it. As this project. This has been a lot. Throughout everything I write, I always leave little pieces, little tidbits, little trails. I'm an INFJ, and I'm a writer. And so I write as that, and I imagine my reader as that. I imagine my reader with intuition. So throughout 85,000 words, I am constantly giving tiny little hints that you'll miss and some you might pick up on. And that's just me leaving these little breadcrumbs, hoping that another intuitive reading this picks up on some of them. And that's just like a little wink to your intuition, if you do. This is going to be a self-published work. I've made that decision, and it's a final decision. I really wasn't sure on what to do, but I need the control over it for this kind of a project. That's very important to me. And that means control on how to let it out into the world, control on all of the different elements of the story, the images that are used and everything else. One of the things that I had my heart set on doing was ending this story on chapter 32. I'm going to put a picture up of my brother and I. And so he was a football star in high school, and they won state championship for New Jersey multiple years in a row, and they were undefeated. And he was the engine that made that team go, really. And I remember Sundays, or Saturdays rather, and going down to the field at the high school and watching. There were hundreds of people there. I mean, it was a really popular thing, and just watching him. And I loved those days and those moments. And he was number 32. And so to me, it's like a little tribute, I can't imagine handing that to somebody who's going to publish it, saying, well, you need to rewrite, we need to cut a couple chapters. Not on this one. Not on this one. So there's my ending, and there's that story. You'll be hearing more about this project for sure. I'm sorry that maybe I tortured you a little bit with that sign and posting that up the way I did, but I was just having a little fun right around April Fool's just to see. And yeah, I know somebody made the comment like, you said not to do this to INFJs and you just did this to INFJs. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But it's okay. It's better now. We're all good now. We're all friends here. I want to thank you guys for being here and for jumping in and subscribing and being with me on this journey and through these videos and just my thoughts. And I'm really just trying to bring you just some authenticity on here, you know, and to say this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. I hope it resonates. I say that a lot in the comments and everything else. But I appreciate it. I appreciate you being with me because whether you know it or not, I have on numerous occasions leaned on you, and I'm grateful that you're there for me. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. I really appreciate it, and I can think of no better way to do this than to bring you along with me on it. And I truly hope that your own projects and the things that you have your mind set out to do and the things that you want done, I really, truly, with all of my heart, hope that you achieve those things. That's all for this one. Thank you. I love you and I appreciate you. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you for being here with me, and I will see you very, very soon.